This is Harry Murray at Murray's Fly Shop in Edinburgh, Virginia. Let's look at the type fishing we can anticipate in September for both trout and smallmouth bass. There is a fantastic brown autumn sedge hatch on our trout streams throughout all of September. This is one of the largest caddis that's present in large numbers. They come off at night, but they also start coming off in late afternoon. So the way I fish this hatch, from late afternoon all the way into dark, I watch the tails of the pools for the rising trout. And here's where I go one-on-one with those that I can see coming up. If I don't see risers, I just fan my cast over the tail of the pool. Now, actually, I'm fishing upstream on all this. Don't ever try to come down on them. You'll scare them to death for sure. The flies that I find effective when I see these trout feeding on these brown sedge, I go to a brown elk hair caddis or a Mr. Rapidan brown delta wing caddis. These are the most effective flies I find. Since many of these trout feed on the caddis pupa, now that's the babe under the water before he actually hatches out. These could be anywhere from an inch to 3 inches below the surface, and many of the trout feed on these. Now, an effective technique on that is to go ahead and do a dry with a dropper. Now, I use those dries I just mentioned, but then I go under about with a 2 foot of 6X mono and get a Mr. Rapidan brown soft tackle and fish that under it, going upstream either dead drift or with a very, very gentle twitching action. This often will get you the best big trout that you're going to find in these streams, because these big trout know this action is coming. They locate in the tails of the pools, and it is some of the most exciting fishing you're ever going to have. Be patient with them and just watch for the risers and then go one-on-one with them. Or, as I said, if you don't see that many risers coming up, just patiently cover the tail of the pool by fanning your cast all over that lower portion. Now, what's going on in the smallmouth world? Well, as the water gets cooler in September, these bass turn on and feed heavily. I especially find a lot of this happening in the chub and dace minnows in the shallow tails of the pools. Almost every September I catch my biggest fish in this manner. These minnows are there. There's no question about it. But the bass will come back in this water that's maybe 1.5 to 2.5 feet deep, and they'll race around back in the tails of these pools over an area big as your home. And they'll feed and feed and feed on those back in there. And many times you can actually see the wake of the bass going for these chub minnows. A number of years ago, I developed 2 flies just for this type action, the floating chub minnow and the floating dace minnow. And the way I fish that, I enter that pool from the downstream side. I come in the riffle below it, move on up into just where the current breaks over that riffle, and I watch for these wakes where I see the bass chasing the minnows around up in there. And when I see it, I'll shoot my cast out, probably 5 feet out in front of them, and I strip it right through in front of them. Now, if I don't see those wakes of those bass out there, I'll just fan my cast all over that shallow area. Now, I don't move very quickly going up through there because I know the bass are there. I know the minnows are there. It's just a matter of timing. So I'll take my time and fish back and forth across the tails of these pools. For instance, on the South Fork, over at Secret's Landing, the tail of those pools just upstream from Secret's, oh gosh, it's 200 feet wide. And there could be bass feeding all over that area back through there. On the North Fork, right here at Chapman's Landing, there's a nice riffle down through there, and right above that riffle in the tail of that pool, they'll be chasing those minnows all over the place back in there. So I just kind of play it real slowly and cover all of that water real carefully, and I am wading upstream now. I'm moving upstream very slowly, covering all of the water. Anybody I see on a chase, I'm putting that fly out in front of them. And if I don't see the bass chasing, I'm just going to cover all of that water very thoroughly. This is some of the most effective and some of the most enjoyable smallmouth fishing I know. Recently, we put a video on our website with what I was calling a smallmouth minnow matching game. What we did was set up about 20 different types of pools, picked out maybe 20 or 15 or 20 of the most prevalent minnows in the river. Chose a fly that would match a specific minnow, take you to the river, show you where in the river you're going to find the specific minnow and the technique that we use to fish it. This is a very, very good video. We're getting a lot of positive input on that. I would strongly encourage you to roll on to that and see that, because it's going to show you how to fish every minnow we have in the river, the fly that we use to match it, the technique that we're going to use on it, and where you would expect to find this action. So that's some of what goes on at this time of the year. So if you have any questions, just call me at the fly shop here in Edinburgh, and I'll be glad to show you these different areas. And I hope you have a great time fishing for both the trout and the bass here in September. This is Harry Murray at Murray's Fly Shop in Edinburgh, Virginia. Thank you a whole lot for listening.